Mm.
I think we are live.
I think we are live. We got it.
OMG, we have made it to day 5. I am so excited. And I am also slightly relieved that this very busy, very intense, very full week is coming to a close. It's a bittersweetness. How are you feeling, Lady Anika?
I'm feeling jazzed up and overstretched, if that makes any sense at all.
It
has been a very full week. So many beautiful speakers, so much powerful information, so much awakening, so much passion, so much growth. And being present through all of it has been an absolute treat. And I am absolutely honored. And with Yule coming up tomorrow, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, it is like we're going into the space of rest. And we're going into the space of not just rest, to rebirth as the sun starts to awaken again. So it's like through this journey, through these days of darkness, and through this whole quantum shifting process, we have been preparing ourselves for this amazing solar return. And it has been a treat. It has been epic. And it has been such a beautiful honor to be present with all the beautiful souls here and on the replay and the collective as we are seriously shifting into a new era. So with that being said, we have something different today. Lady Darsmin is going to open for us as she prepares up for her quantum. What are you calling your beautiful presentation? Beautiful Lady Darsmin?
I believe it is quantum leaping through Shadow Alchemy.
Yes. She's going to walk us through the whole process.
Yes. It's just, a little bit of death, a little bit of rebirth, a little bit of tears, some laughter, the good stuff, y'all.
We have been on this journey for the last 5 days doing just that, from trauma to mindsets and belief systems into the energy of transformation and truly calling in our power and awakening that within us. What a better way to bring it to a quantum leap. Like, that is what it's all about, is creating change, not just healing, not just empowerment, not just growth. Like, that is so old school. We are creating quantum change, and not just for us, for the world, for the collective, for the earth, for our children and our children's children. So as we are ready and preparing ourselves for this beautiful presentation, really hold that into account as we are connecting to this quantum leap. We've been holding on to our dreams. We've been working through our own belief systems and bullshit, connecting to our core of energy. And now we get to really bring it all into account with this beautiful quantum leaping day. So grab your notebooks, grab your pens. I'm super, super excited. And with that, I hand it to you, baby, beautiful lady.
Thank you. Thank you. There's so much power here that my computer is struggling just a moment.
My struggling too.
This is the only struggle, y'all, is like making technology catch up and work as fast as my brain. Come on, you silly thing. Do what I say. I am your master. That's what our life can feel like, right? We're just really doing our best and it's just not cooperating. But we are shifting that today. We are fully shifting into this is that last push, right? It's like we've been in labor, we've been in the birth canal all week, and now we're shifting fully into that highest timeline. There's no more I am waiting. It is I am here. There's no more I am attracting. It's I am receiving. There's no more I am healing. It is I am healed. I am healed, holy, and whole. So blessings, everyone. Welcome to day 5. I am your co-host, Lady Darsmin. And let's drop in with 3 cleansing breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. First inhale, exhale, letting it all go. Second inhale, exhale, letting everything that came a moment ago and what comes next, letting that all go. And third inhale, breathing in, centering into the present moment. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Deep gratitude for this day. for this land that we all walk upon, for the breath, for the wind that we all breathe in different places, for the living waters, the same waters our ancestors drank and our descendants shall drink. For waking up today. Thank you, mind. Thank you, heart. Thank you, body. Thank you, life. Deep bow to this sister and high priestess, Lady Anika, for hosting this powerful summit and holding this container and anchoring this frequency in with me, with us, for all of us. Thank you for showing up live, catching the replay. Deep gratitude to you for your presence, for your devotion to yourself, for your continued unfolding and blossoming. And with that said, today's opening ceremony is a practice that I have actually written up. And so I'm going to pull it in my screen to screen share if you want to follow along with me. Let's see. I am learning as I grow. You may giggle if you watch me stumble, just be kind. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think I got it. Okay, so I'm just gonna sit so that I can look at the screen. Can you all see me? Can you all hear me? All right, so this practice is what I call the daily call to life. It's a daily call to the circle of life. COL is circle of life. And can I make this bigger? I found the bigger button. Yay. Okay. So this is a practice that can really be adaptable because it is created using the same directions, the same elements, the same seasons, and the same guides that exist throughout the entire world, regardless of your personal practices and beliefs. And the structure is set up so that you can shift it a little bit, so to speak, to weave in and add in your own personal practices and beliefs. So we started the practice facing east. Maybe Lady Anika can actually do this and face the directions as we call in. So we start with thank you, east, as we face the east. Thank you, element of air. Thank you, mind. Thank you, season of spring, of planting. I like to call in the archangels because I have been working with the archangels actively, so I will be calling them in to anchor our circle today. Thank you, green. Emerald green is the flame of Archangel Raphael, who is in the east, and we close with thank you, east. And we do this for all of them, and then we close our circle with this. Pretty simple? Makes sense? Cool. It makes sense to me, and if it doesn't, well, let me know. So big deep breath, inhale, coming back into the present moment. And this daily call of life practice will be a part of the VIP package as a gift to you. Anchoring back into the body, into the present moment, clearing the energy field. 3, 7, 13, 17, 21 feet, all directions. Thank you, east. Thank you, element of air. Thank you to the mind. Thank you, season of spring, of planting. Thank you, Archangel Raphael, emerald green flame. Thank you, east. Thank you, south. Thank you, element of fire. Thank you, energy. Thank you, season of summer, of flourishing. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you, crystalline blue flame. Thank you, south. Thank you, west. Thank you, element of water. Thank you, heart. Oh, sweet, loving heart. Thank you, season of fall, of reaping, of harvest. Thank you, Archangel Gabriel. Thank you, diamond white flame. Thank you, west. Thank you, north. Thank you, element of earth. Thank you, body. Thank you, winter, season of winter, of feasting, of resting. Thank you, Archangel Uriel. Thank you, ruby red flame. Thank you, north. Thank you above. Thank you to the starry nations, dragoms, and cosmic wisdoms. Thank you to our memory. Thank you for the season of dancing always. Thank you, Archangel Metatron. Thank you for the pillar of gold. Thank you for the above coming down into the center and through the below. Thank you above. Thank you below. Thank you to the Sicilies, fairies, elves, gnomes, and worms, Pachamama, Earth Mother. Thank you, strength. Thank you for the season of resting and balance, with the season of dancing. Thank you, Archangel Sandalphon, and the silver pillar, bringing the below through the within, into and through the above, back into the within. Thank you, below. And thank you all around. The oneness that is Elohim, the council of the utmost high, the holiest of holies, the I am that is the I am, holding all here in the sacred center. The I am that is the I am that is the you. You are the I am, as I am the I am, all and no one, some of one. Thank you all. Thank you, me. Thank you, life. Also inviting in the ancestors, animal spirits, and any other friendly guides honoring of the light and shadow who wish to be present here today, the higher selves of Lady Anika and I, the higher selves of the sovereigns who tune in and are open to receiving these messages, always in alignment for their highest and best good. Welcoming in you into the sacred space now. Thank you. Thank you for your presence, your protection, your witness, your guidance, your love, your support, your strength, your encouragement, your empowerment, your grace. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Blessed, blessed I am. Bless, bless, bless the sacred life. Aho. Gently returning into the body. I invite you to breathe in and feel into that intention that you brought at the beginning of the summit, and feel into how that original intention may have evolved for you or shifted. Feel into what has cleared so that more of this clarity can come through. Feel into any steps, any action steps, any inner steps that you have received to come into greater alignment with this intention that you placed at the beginning of the summit. Breathe that in, and I invite you, those of you who watch this replay, to comment down below and share with us your name from the place of power, which means you say it as I am. I am Lady Darsmin. And you, beloved?
I am Lady Anika.
Right. We claim our seat of power. We take up space. We allow ourselves to slow down, to soften, to feel every letter in your name and how it settles into your consciousness as you speak it from that seat of power and presence. And then share with us the intention that you came into the summit with, and how it has evolved for you. And for each one of you sharing your name and intention, the rattle, it's played every single time, anchoring those vibrations into yourselves, anchoring those frequencies into your bones, into your cellular memory, feeling in that completion of that intention, the normalizing, the sustainable thriving of your holy, clear intention in every cell, every fiber, every organ of your being, every timeline and dimension of time and space. Mm. Blessed be. So, Lady Anika, would you like to share?
My vision?
Yeah, your intention, your vision, anything that came through.
So this card that we pulled, or that I pulled, this rising, fit perfectly because in the beginning of this beautiful space, I've actually been calling this in for a very long time. And as I have done so much to prepare for this beautiful summit and bringing people together and bringing speakers together and bringing powerful teachers together, as well as beautiful people and souls and tribe and connections, to a space of creation, to a space of unity, to a space of togetherness, to rise. That has been my big vision, and I have watched it transform, and I feel it now. In the beginning, it was a space of unsure. When we do a lot of work putting something together, just like having a baby, birthing it for 9 months, you don't know what it's going to come out looking like. Is it going to have 5 fingers? Is it, or 10 fingers? Is it going to have 10 toes? And I've watched this beautiful process throughout the summit of watching things fall into place. And it's been very, very beautiful. As I connect to the darkest of the sun and connect to its rise with this beautiful Yule time, my biggest vision is for all of us to rise into this new space, into this new time, into this new energy. I've been birthing this through me for lifetimes. I've been preparing myself for lifetimes to be present in this lifetime now, and to share medicine, and to share magic, and to share authenticity, and to share what it looks like on the other side of struggle and scarcity, and what it looks like on the other side of pain, into pleasure and passion and purpose and growth and love and unity. And I see that happening in this next season. Got me in my feels. So I am watching this be birthed through this experience now, and I have gotten glimpses of what it will become. And I'm just honored to see it in its infancy, and to be present with all of you beautiful souls here throughout the summit, the speakers, the attendants, and the viewers, and everybody on the replay, and everybody that is yet to come into this vortex. It is beautiful, and it is a grandiose experience.
Aho, amen, ase, inshallah, ase, amen, aho, and it is done. Thank you for sharing that. I feel a resonance as well when you speak. One of the intentions that I had set was to really hold this container, and I feel like that holding has definitely been happening. I've definitely felt very stretched to my limits. For those of you who have been following me for a hot minute, know that I took a little bit of a break from socials, and I haven't been active for a few months, and this is kind of like my launch back into it. And then I'm taking a 2 weeks off, and it's been really interesting I believe one of the words that came up one day was stamina, to see my stamina just kick back in, and to see my capacity to hold even larger spaces. I mean, there's 81 beings, I believe, in the group. And so when I'm speaking, I'm imagining that all 81 are sitting in front of me. And that's a lot of people to be talking in front of. It's like, whoo, you're looking at me. I got spinach or lipstick in my tea. What's going on over here? My beloved was just kind enough to let me know that I had lipstick on my teeth. I was like, oh, thank you for that. So I've definitely felt very stretched. But I've also felt like that good kind of stretching, like, oh, okay, I can hold this container. And to also receive, right? To also receive the speakers, to receive the audience, and to receive all your feedback and comments and shares and curiosities and excitements, and witnessing you encourage each other. Like, that is just so fucking beautiful to me. Like, look at you hyping each other up and like supporting each other and saying, no, don't fucking talk about like that to yourself. You are divine. You are sovereign. Like putting me aside, just watching all of you really like nurture and support each other, which is what we're doing for you. It's like, yes, this is ultimately the point for all of us to be sovereign and empowered and see each other as co-creators in this life, because we're not in competition. And that has been really nourishing and helping me keep going this week with all the other responsibilities that I am gracefully balancing in my life. So, and as Lady Anika says, seeing the possibilities even more clearly now than before. Because when we started, it was just a little bit like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? We got tech issues. We were having issues with the fucking replays being posted, and we've learned so much about how we show up in leadership, how we show up as sovereigns, how we show up as women for ourselves. Lady Anika have taken time to check in before and after each summit. And that's a personal dream of mine, is to create a quote unquote working world where we are human with each other. Like, let's take a 10-minute dance break after every hour and a half of sitting and listening to somebody lecture and talk about some really intense things. That has been like profound for me. Like, yeah. Why isn't this more freaking normal? Like making time to just have a sip of water, go outside and take a breath. Okay, we went a little over, right? Like, can we be human and also continue cultivating balance? And that has been really healing for me as a working woman, to see this empowered way of collaborating and expanding our wealth and our resources together.
I love that. I love that. And that's really what we've been working towards, and not just for us and our families and our friends and our circle, but for the collective, really. We've been so out of balance with so many different things in our life, and it's nice to bring that into a balance, to have more love, to cultivate more love, to cultivate more union, to cultivate more connection, more rest, more ease, more growth, more wealth, more abundance. You can't see how beautiful the feel of the flower in the field is unless you have time to go smell the flower. And that's been largely missing in our culture and our society for so long. And it's nice to be a change maker and a change bringer on that, because there's nothing that smells sweeter than a flower. And to have the time to stop and smell it is a true treasure in this world. And that is abundance, and that is wealth. And it is just a beautiful to be able to bring that together.
Yeah, that is true abundance and wealth. Absolutely. Aho, 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 aho. Well, we would be listening to all of you beautiful people sharing your dreams and intentions if you were here live. But since you're not, we'll just have to read them and celebrate you and howl for you. You'll hear our echoes. Oh. Now let's pull our card for today, because silly little me forgot at the beginning of the day yesterday. All right. So what is our last card for this very powerful week? I've had all the cards here. What do you think, Lady Anika? Should I take a picture of these cards and post it in the group?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay. Oh, fuck yeah, she says.
Oh, fuck yeah. We want to see that transformation we've been on.
Okay, this card, I've recently been working with this energy, and it is so perfect for today. Number 35. All the threads of fate must bend.
Oh, pretty.
The essential meanings of this card is being flexible, cultivating resilience, and adaptability. So I will read the rest of these messages at the end of our day. I'm going to set this card down over here. All the threads of fate must bend. Number 35. What I'm getting immediately from that number 35, as a numerologist, is the number 3 is about the Holy Trinity of mind, heart, body. It is when we connect mind, heart, body that we are able to tap into the power source of our energy, which is in the center, in the sacred center. And then we are able to create, which is the number 4. That's the number of it's anchoring the 4 pillars in. And 5 is that point of like, okay, now we've created something. Let's pause and reflect. What worked? What didn't work? What do we take forward? What do we discard? And by making those empowered choices to pause and reevaluate, we can quote unquote quantum leap, because we are skipping the dumb and doing the smart, aka working more efficiently with less time. And that's part of this whole paradigm that Lady Unika and I have really been striving, and I feel have been successful in anchoring through the summit, is how do we create this really impactful, transformative space without overwhelm? Because I have been speaking in summits for several years, and that was my biggest struggle. It's like 8 hours a day of nonstop talking. Like, yo, I get that y'all got really good things to say and I want to hear them all, but I want to feel nourished at the end of the summit. Drained and exhausted and needing, like, I need to take a vacation from the summit vacation, you know? And that's, you know, the number 35, it adds up to an 8. 8 is that flow, right? Flow or stagnation. That's the duality of the being in the wealth and the abundance timeline. Is flow and stagnation. So are we in flow by taking a moment to pause and reevaluate as we continue to step forward, as dance forward in the human experience? Or are we in stagnation because we're doing the same thing again and again, expecting different results? So all the threads of fate must bend. Fate will meet us. Destiny is what we make of it. So now, with that beautiful card taking us into the day, let's tap into our movement flow for today. We have been doing movement exercises throughout the week, activating a different body each week. Monday, we awaken the physical body with some wiggles. Wiggle it, oh, wiggle it, wiggle it. On Tuesday, we awaken the sensual body by slowing down, really dropping into the molasses-like movement of hands on the body with deep appreciation. Wednesday, we awakened the mental body with some tapping, tap, 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 tap-a-roo. I did some tapping at the gym today. It was so needed. And yesterday, we awakened the emotional body with swiping. And now, today, we are going to activate our creative body. We are going to activate our expansion body. We are going to activate that part of ourselves that loves to play by doing circular movements. Doing circular movements on your hips, circular movements of your shoulders, circular movements of your head. Okay, we're going to do circular movements as we breathe in and listen to this song. We ready? Let's start with the breath inhale. Clearing everything that we just talked about. We can watch the replay if we forget. And exhale, dropping into the present moment. Inhale, breathe in that breath of life, receive it into every cell of your being. Exhale slowly. And on this next exhale or inhale, breathe in. And as you exhale, begin to make nice little circular movements on your cheekies. And then let your hands guide you wherever you feel your body wants some nice, soft, round, slow movements. You might start palms rubbing against each other in circular motions to create some heat. Feel into that, right? You have activated your highest timeline. You are living the dream life. You are not in struggle and scarcity anymore, darling. You got time to play, to create, to explore what is wanting to come alive through you now. Make those nice circle movements. Let it all come through. Do some tapping if your mind starts thinking too much. Beautiful. Yes, big deep breath in and out. Do a little wiggles to activate the physical body. Some swiping if you need it. We're now going to really step into this mastery of our movement. Swipe, swipe, tap, tap, circle, circle, wiggle, wiggle, slow it down. Beautiful, divine, sacred ones. I see you, I celebrate you, I encourage you, I uplift you. And I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waking up today. Big deep breath in, bringing that all back into your heart space. Another breath, softening back into the body. Welcome back, beloved one.
Beautiful. Thank you, beautiful Lady Darsmin. That has been so nice. And why circles?
Why circles?
Yep.
Because circular movements help improve circulation.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And how does that connect us to our wealth codes? How does that help us really bring those things in?
I mean, when we're creating, we're playing. And in my personal opinion, children are the wealthiest beings that exist. They're not thinking about the stressors of life. They're not thinking about getting sick if they go play in the rain. They're the true embodiment of freedom. And for me, wealth is freedom. The freedom to be in that innocence, to be in that space of awe and wonder and curiosity, to be in that space of, I don't know if I have wet, clean, dry clothes inside. I'm just going to go get messy right now. And I'm going to trust that mom is going to take care of me. Well, who's our mommy? Well, we are our own parents. Yes, yes. But ultimately life, right? Life supports us. And I feel like maturation is the union of innocence and integrated experience. And so when we allow ourselves to really tap into that space of creation, we are activating the play body. We're activating our sense of trust that we don't have to be working 24/7 to get our needs met. You know, we're allowing ourselves time to rest, time to step away, time to not do, which is how the masculine rests. The masculine rests in not doing. The feminine rests in not creating. So if you're not doing and you're not creating, what are you doing? You're being curious. And that's where your wealth starts to come in, because wealth is balance is at the heart of wealth. And so our wealth begins to flow the more balanced we are in our everyday life. And especially on days where you don't want to go to the gym or you don't want to meditate, those are the days when you need it the most.
We're in that space of resistance, right? Resisting the easier movements, resisting rest and ease. We've been in a push-pull paradigm for a very long time. We've been pushing ourselves to burnout and starvation and scarcity for a very long time. And we are here to break those cycles and to step into the embodiment of our energy, the embodiment of grace within us, the embodiment of our sense of creation, our form of creation. And that also goes with health and wealth, which is rest and connecting to that inspiration, connecting to it. You know, one of my biggest awakenings was when I was in that push-pull paradigm. I was at 80 hours of work, 80 hours a week worker. And I mean, like, do the thing and then do all the other things. And when I realized, when I finally got to a space of rest and movement and in the body, the inspiration that came through was like being hit by a lightning rod. I'm not even kidding you. It was that moment of, wow, this is what it is. And it felt good. It felt clean. It felt crisp, and it felt joyful. And it was just a spark of inspiration. When I was in that space of burnout and fatigue, there was no inspiration. I was just doing the things, living up to the Joneses, I like to call it, because you have the nice house and you have the big car and you have all these big things, but are you in the energy to enjoy it or receive it or experience its fullness? Very often, right? Not very often. We wake up miserable because we have to push so hard, and we're really stepping back from that push-pull paradigm and stepping into what we truly are here to create, which is wealth, wealth codes, abundance, and joy in the experiences that we have. And it's not just some hippie movement. This is happening all over the world as we reconnect to Mama Gaia, and we reconnect to her cycles, and we reconnect to how she creates. I was blessed to be able to work in a greenhouse last spring. The most freaking abundance I have ever seen in my whole life, and it still fills my spirit to this day.
And it's still nourishing you.
It is. Seeing it, feeling it, the energy of just everything blooming and watching it come into its crown and opening up into its beauty, or flowers or fruit, or like, there's so much, and it happens naturally through its own space of creation. That's what we are here to create, and we are here to share, is we bloom when we're ready, and we bloom into this beautiful source of creation, and it's absolutely it's epic.
Yeah, that's thank you for voicing that, because I've worked with doctors, I've worked with politicians, I've worked with lawyers, and one thing, they got money, but they don't feel wealthy because they're overworked. They're like, I wish I had more time to rest. I wish I had time to see my children. Honey, we all get the same amount of time, okay? And time is only ever moving forward. So break up those 24 hours like a friggin' pizza and figure out where your slices of za are going, okay? Because wealth is right now. The ability to create the space together and to trust that our finances are taken care of, because we are doing our best, we're showing up in integrity and balance. That is wealth for me.
Beautiful. When you were doing the circle dance, I have the sun coming through the window, and just having my face in the sun for a few seconds, that's wealth. It felt amazing. Yes. And we can put that into every part of our life: business, creation, solopreneur, what we're creating, our lives, our relationships, our energy, our sexuality. Like, we can put that in every area of our life. The value is everywhere, and it's limitless. It's fucking limitless, which is
the limit does not exist.
We're not used to. Yeah, the limits are created by the human mind.
Yeah, the limit does not exist. Anybody seen Mean Girls? Do you remember when she's in the math class and she figures out the math problem? The limit does not exist. I laughed when I saw that scene in that movie, because I was like, yeah, the limit does not exist. Both because it was a hilarious pun joke, but also because, it's also a cosmic joke. And that's the beauty of and I'll be going into my talk here shortly of Shadow Alchemy. But that's what Shadow Alchemy is. And it happens in the void. It happens in the space of limitlessness. It happens in that place of the unknown, which is why it can feel so terrifying for people to even think about, shadow work, because it's so fucking unknown and it's done in the dark. You don't know what you're doing, but you just have to trust that what you're doing is exactly right for you. And building that trust is what we've been talking about all week.
And that's why it can also be super important to get yourself a guide or a coach or a mentor or a guru to help you through that space, so you don't get stuck in the repeat cycles that are so imminent. They're imminent. And you're not alone in this journey. That's why we have risen right now, is to help and guide and support. That's been beautiful. So Shadow Alchemy, what does this term mean for those seeking the tangibility of Shadow Alchemy? What does this mean?
Okay, so I had this whole presentation about what I'm going to talk about today. But sure, we can jump right in the middle and go hard deep, because that's what we're here to do.
Well, just to kind of get a context of what Shadow Alchemy is.
Okay, so let's break it down. What is alchemy? Alchemy is the process. It is the process of turning something into something else, specifically something into something that is completely different from that original state, right? It's not like turning water into ice, okay? It's the same thing. It's like turning water into a rose bush. That is alchemy right there. This water, this living liquid, this clear liquid, okay, that is formless, shapeless, has so much life in it that it can take a single seed and turn it into a rose bush. It can turn it into an oak tree. Your breath, every breath that you take is a process of alchemy. Why? We are literally taking what the trees give us and we're taking it into our body. It is literally giving us life. Okay. If you stop breathing, you're gonna die real quick. Like, hey, if you don't have access to clean oxygen, your body will go through carbon dioxide. It'll increase the levels of carbon dioxide in there, and it'll die. It'll shut down. The organs will start shutting down. So we breathe in this oxygen from the trees. This is why the trees are so important. And we give them our waste, our carbon dioxide, and then they transform it back into oxygen for us. That is alchemy. It is the process of changing a single element into this life-giving nourishment. The shadow are those aspects of ourselves that we tend to hide away from. I'm going to read a chapter, a little chapter. Oh my God, a paragraph.
Tell us what book it is.
So I'm going to read a paragraph from this book that I have a chapter in. This is called Shadow Alchemy: How to Turn Your Inner Darkness into Gold. This came out earlier this year. I am one of the featured authors in this book. This was an international bestseller on day one for an entire week in the US, Australia, and #1 across many categories on Amazon and other book retailing websites. Oh. And in this chapter, in my particular chapter, I talk about my journey with the shadow. My particular shadow, which one was my most challenging shadow to work with, my story of transcendence and empowerment, and how I now work with the energy behind my shadow element to fuel my everyday life. But in this chapter, I talk about what is the shadow. So this is what I write. The shadow aspect of self is what one might consider undesirable, difficult, or taboo. And it shows up as rage, denial, indifference, workaholism, addiction, codependency, hyperindependence, people-pleasing, unfounded, activated clairvoyant gifts. That's what the shadow is. It's those aspects of us that aren't so easy and cushy and rainbowy and welcoming. Like, if we're having a hard day, not everybody wants to be around it. Shit, sometimes I don't want to be around people when I'm having a hard day. Put me down for a nap. Give me a freaking taco. You know, like, I need a bath, right? Like, sometimes we just have stuff that comes up that we don't want to be around. But learning how to make peace with the fact that the shadow exists because there is light and we are the light, and there cannot be light without shadow. Like, they are literally complements of this greater whole. Then we start to see that, oh, okay, this is just the balance of my overall sovereign radiance. And so the keys I share today and in this book and in so many of my practices that I continue to implement in my daily life are a few tools that you can use to implement in your life, because the shadow does exist with and for the light. I and you are the light and also the shadow. And learning how to dance with both is what my alchemy is about. The alchemical process that I share is about how to bridge the divide between the seen and the unseen, and how to dance with both in everyday life. And that is what mastery is. Mastery comes when you practice. So the alchemy, the shadow alchemy mastery is literally a practice of being present with the process.
Love that. I love that. And you have a beautiful presentation for us today, don't you?
I do.
Excited.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to pull this presentation up right meow, window, to the wall.
We're not going to say the rest because it's
Till the
disgusting.
pearls drip down my throat. All these wisdoms crawl. I'm working on a empowered rewrite of this song, y'all. Okay, that isn't so degrading. Stay tuned for my album coming to you soon. So this is my PowerPoint. I've never done one on Canva. I was very inspired by Lady Anika's beautiful PowerPoint yesterday and Dr. Sereno's earlier this week. Thank you for inspiring. So Darsmin DreamWorks is my foundation. I founded this in 2017. The higher vision of Darsmin DreamWorks is bridging science, spirit, and love. So you'll see this is my logo. It pops up in a lot of places. If you Google Darsmin DreamWorks, I come up. I'm internet famous, y'all. Don't stalk me. This is a menu of what we're going to go over today. I'm going to talk a little bit about me. I'm going to talk a little about the journey. And then I'm going to talk about the rage rose, the shadow aspect of me. Then we're going to talk about the quantum shift. I'm going to share a poem that I wrote called The God Molecule. And this was when I was in that in-between place of awareness of my shadow element, but not fully empowered and able to harness its power. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to connect with me, share some testimonials, share some specials that I'm currently offering. And then I'm going to talk to you about the keys to sustain the quantum shift, right? Because this is the key piece that I find missing, quote unquote, in a lot of teachings out there. There's a lot of guidance and teachings on like how to activate, how to alchemize, how to transcend, how to evolve. Okay, that's all fucking awesome. But then we have to stabilize it and we have to sustain it. You know, is the shift that you're working on a shift that you want to be active just for 3 days, 3 years, 3 centuries, right? And so how do we sustain those shifts that we are making so that they can really anchor a legacy that is sustainable and thriving? And then I always close with gratitude and appreciation for every single one of you. Thank you for being here. So a little bit about me. I am a tea-sipping, tree-hugging, prayerful dancer. I will literally be driving down the road and I'll see a tree and I just have to stop and give it hugs. That is me. No shame, no hate over here. I will, in fact, invite you to join me and give that tree a hug. And you know what? Every single time I invite somebody to hug a tree, they love it. First, they might be a little skeptical, but once they do it, they're like, wow, thank you so much. I'm like, you're welcome. The tree was asking for it. I love tea. I host a lot of circles, social circles, one-on-one teas, and I always have tea present. People who know me, you already know. If you already know me, comment and affirm that you already know there are always pots of tea in Lady Darsmin's house. And I am a prayer form dancer. This is my favorite way to pray. I am a yogini and a dakini by blood, by lineage. Tantra is what I was born into in this timeline. And so I weave yoga, qigong, and temple dance to connect with the elements of life and to bring my prayers into this world. I'm several times published. I'm currently working on my 2nd solo book and my 3rd collaborative book. I'm a global platform speaker. I've been speaking on multiple online and in-person stages for the last 3 years. And I am a neurodivergent. I am a highly functioning being on the autism spectrum. And this is one of the things that lends to many of my beautiful gifts. My quirkily wired brain that has taken me many years to accept and fed the shadow that I will reveal to you here shortly. My sole mission is to bridge science, spirit, and love, which is why I founded Darsmin DreamWorks. And that is the umbrella of many other limbs that I have going on in my life. One of them is the Soul Salon here in Eugene, Oregon. It is my private practice. I am in my office client session room right now. And I also have a community room and temple space where I host monthly circles, such as women's temple, sound circles, regular cacao ceremonies, and sensual dance. I host occasional author talks, poetry power circles, Crafternoon Connects, lots of wonderful things happening at the Soul Salon. And the community room is also available for local artists, healers, and educators, who come and offer client services such as massage, not acupuncture, oh my gosh, massage, also do Reiki work, other healing modalities. They also have their offerings in my little boutique here. And the Community Wellness Center is really here planted with the intention of providing integrative mind, heart, body, energy wellness to the community. Another thing that's happening at the Soul Salon starting next year is I will be opening a space for a 3-day stay with me. And within this 3-day stay, you can have your own personal journey of integration from an experience that you've had with me or someone else with plant medicines and otherwise. Or you can have a semi-silent dark room retreat. Your meals will be provided. Or you could be here with me for 3 days and we could go deep into a medicine journey together, into some shadow work together with or without the use of plant allies. And again, with that 3-day stay, meals are provided and you are under my wing for that time. So this is my baby that literally just launched into the world barely over a month ago. So still fresh out of the womb, but it has something that has been in my heart for, well, since I was 6, so almost 30 years, and really crystallized 6 years ago. And it's taken 6 years to actually birth, right? And so this is part of that alchemical process. It's recognizing that it is not going to be an overnight instant success. The bigger your dream, the longer it's going to take. But you can trust that it will happen as long as you show up and stay consistent with it. So a little bit of my vision and what's going on here in the working world. Now let's talk a little bit about my background, my credentials, right? What gives me the authority other than life source, the I am presence that I am? I have 2 decades of psychology and medical study. My background is pre-med. I was in school to be a neurosurgeon, and then I received this diagnosis of my hands that really changed the trajectory of my life, and I'll go into that in a moment. I also spent 9 years in elder shaman pathway training, including vision quests, sitting in lodges, sitting in powwows, and then 3 years of integration. I am Master Reiki certified and experienced through many timelines and integrated in this timeline. I am a full spectrum doula, so I have been present in life and death ceremonies and also rebirth ceremonies. I have been a student of the Awakening Women's Institute for 7 years and still am. This is where I have learned about feminine embodiment leadership and how to hold space for women's temples, which I've now been doing for over 2 years. And then I've had 8+ years in my own private practice, leading circles and also tending temple and other sacred spaces. So that's me. Now let's look at my journey. Okay, so back in the day, before I was aware of my connection to life source and that I am God in form and yet in tiny, tiny speck, right? I am a drop in the ocean and yet I am the ocean within this drop that I am. I was pre-med. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I literally, like at the age of 6, I was very clear that I wanted to be a doctor. And somehow this book showed up in my life. It was a rural doctor's guidebook because I was raised in India. You know, we didn't really have electricity there. There's no like fancy hospitals and gizmos and things. You work with what you got. And I found this book and I just devoured it. And I started doing stitches at the age of 7. I stitched a friend's ouchie, and I was practicing stitches from a very young age and preparing for medical school. And then I had let me rephrase that. Then an opportunity presented itself. We'll go with that. At the age of 15 for me to move to the US and continue my studies. And I was really excited. Okay, this dream to be a doctor is going to become more tangible now. And the more I dove into science, into anatomy, into physiology, into the human brain, my major was psychology and sociology. The more I realized, like, I really love the human brain. Like, it's so fucking fascinating. Jenny L spoke yesterday about the different aspects of the brain, and I was just like drooling in just appreciation and awe at her wisdoms, and just to like have that resonance of like, oh yeah, we speak the similar language. I love it. And I was set. I was like clear. I want to do something with the brain or something with the heart. Like they're just like brain and heart. They're like so vital organs. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go into neurosurgery or cardio science. But it didn't matter because at the age of 24, I started having this really strange experience with my hands. They started turning black and purple. They would shake really bad. I was working in the medical field as a phlebotomist. A phlebotomist is the person who comes and takes your blood samples for lab tests. And like that was a problem if I'm shaking while I'm holding this really tiny needle in a really tiny vein. So I went to the doctors and they were basically like, well, we don't know what's wrong with you, but you're not really going to be able to use a pen or your hands or do much of anything by the time you're 30. So we would consider looking at maybe different career choices. And the first thought that came to my mind was, I do not accept. And that phrase, and I've talked about this in previous podcasts, has really carried me through a lot of challenging situations that I've gone through in my life. I just don't accept. I do not accept the current construct of the world that says we have to work really hard and struggle and suffer and pay all this ridiculous amount of money for a home that we're never in. And this is why, this is the impetus of what led and catalyzed me to found Darsmin DreamWorks and now to be where I am today. I just do not accept certain things in this world. I call bullshit, cock-a-doodle on that nonsense. So when they gave me the diagnosis of my hands, I'm like, I don't accept that. And so I really started to pay attention more to my nutritional wellness. I was very blessed with healthy eating growing up, but I never really paid attention to it until this diagnosis came in. And I focused on nutritional wellness for 2 years, and I got a certification in nutritional wellness with a concentration in Ayurvedic medicine. And around this time, while I was focused on nutritional wellness and just striving to figure out, like, how can I basically null and void what the doctors have told me about my hands, even though I'm seeing evidence of it, my father passed away. And when he passed away was when my heart cracked open. I had not cried. I mean, I'm sure I cried as a baby, but as long as I can remember, I did not cry until I was 24. My heart was so blocked off because of all the trauma that I had experienced, and because of all the shit that I experienced as a child, both in terms of the abuse that I experienced, in the neglect, emotional neglect in the home, in the hardship of growing up in India without electricity most of my life, or even running water, with the strain of being the eldest child to a missionary, of raising my brother as a son. You know, I just like, I didn't want to give my father and my tormentors the satisfaction of my tears. So I just like, no, I do not accept your bullshit. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of my tears. And so when my father passed, like, my heart cracked open. And that's when I found a counselor who specialized in EMDR. That first session changed my life. That first session, after that first session, is when my heart really cracked open. And I started to, like, remember things that I had suppressed, because of, that's what the body will do. It'll just shut down when it's going through stuff to protect you, to protect the nervous system. And she recommended painting as a way to process. I had never considered creativity up until that point. I mean, as an Indian woman and with a path like focused on medicine, my life was study, work, eat, sleep, repeat. Study, work, eat, sleep, repeat. Like, there wasn't really social life. I did some social activities in high school after moving to the US, but it was like, it was part of the work to get to college so that I could continue working. So it was always this, like, this concept of like work, eat, sleep, repeat, study, me go to the gym. You know, I was like doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to be doing to be healthy and happy. I was in this relationship when we were like on the path towards engagement, and still, like, I was not okay on the inside. On the outside, everyone's like, wow, you have a great job, you have a great partner, you have a brand new car, your apartment's amazing, your clothes are on point, your body's like so fine. But inside, I felt like I was dying. And so creativity and art really started to unlock a color within me. I am not a being who visualizes. I see the world in patterns and shapes and numbers. Color is like a very recent experience for me that's still cracking open. And so I just continued on this path of, you know, creating, painting. I saw her for a few months, and that was enough for me, continuing to focus on my nutritional wellness. And then I discovered Herman S's Siddhartha. If any of you know the book, let me know. It's an incredible book written by Herman S., and it's the story of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. And there were two things that were most profound for me in this book. One was that this man who was wealthy, like actual wealthy, like rich king status, gave up his wealth and became enlightened, and then got all his wealth back, all his money back. And I was like blown away. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that you can be rich and godly? Like money is not the root of all evil? You can have money and be holy? That's what I want. I want to have money, and I want to be a woman of God, a woman of faith. I mean, I always considered myself a woman of faith, but I was severely closeted and in denial about that for a long time, because I wanted a life of ease. After the shit and hardship that I went through as a child, I wanted ease, but I lived in this torment that had been programmed into me through Christian and religious indoctrination, that to have luxury, to have ease, to have money for myself, to have money for my bills even, was satanic, was demonic, was a violation of God's law. So I'm like, wait a minute, I can have money and I can be a spiritual being. That sounds great. So how do I do that? And then I kept reading, and I learned about meditation. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this meditation thing, right? I'm gonna try this meditation thing. And there was another book I read around that time. I don't remember the book name, but there was a teaching in there that I learned about the Japanese, and they say, if you want to master anything, do it at the same time for 60 seconds every day. I'm like, all right, I'll do this meditation thing for 60 seconds every day. Cool beans. And then as I started to meditate for 60 seconds, I'm like, this is easy. 3 minutes. Okay. Increased to 7. 13 was my comfortable. I could sit there and meditate for 13 minutes without, feeling pulled. And that really started to deepen me into that awareness. The way I describe meditation is you're sitting on a hill looking down at a freeway. Going one way are your thoughts, going the other way are your emotions, and you sit up there and you learn how to just become the witness. And then you can choose to go on a ride with a particular thought or a particular emotion. Then you can see where there's traffic, where there's congestion, where there's a crossover, where there's an accident, and so on and so forth. Then you can start decluttering. And so as I was sitting there in that place of stillness, learning about myself, I went through experiences that awakened me to my feminine, that awakened me to my cycles as a woman. I experienced a miscarriage that really catapulted me into that. And shortly after, I found myself in the arms of Shamli Arda, who is the founder of the Awakening Woman Institute. And I committed myself to feminine embodiment leadership because, well, I am a woman in this body. So if I'm to honor my physical body, well, I need to honor my woman's cycles. And that continued forward. And the deeper I went in, the deeper I started looking at my shadows, the denial around my hands, the denial around the traumas that I had experienced, the gaslighting that I was doing to myself by making excuses for the people who had tortured me, who had tormented me, who had abused me, making excuses for my parents who, to a certain degree, did their best, yes. And there were also places of abuse and neglect that I kept justifying. Well, they did all these good things for me, so we're not going to look at the shitty things, right? That's a shadow right there. Denial is a huge shadow. So I had to work through my shadow of denial for many years. And then about 4 years ago, when my brother passed away, is when I was catapulted fully into the shadow world. Completely into the shadow world. And I talk about that more in my chapter in this book about how, that journey of the denial breaking of around my hands, around the perceived degeneration. I don't see it that way. I see it as a restoration. I see it as they're just fucking tired of doing for so many lifetimes of taking care of everyone since I was very young. And so they're just needing rest, and they're in a place to receive right now. And so I'm in this practice right now. My shadow journey, my alchemical process right now is learning how to receive, because I've been such a giver my whole life, right? So the shadow evolves as we evolve. As we grow and transcend the old limitations, new masks arise that then provide us opportunities to continue stepping into self-mastery by continuing to stay present with the practice and processes. So now here I am today, where I have done this enough work within myself, and the reward of that is what I am able to bring to you through the Soul Salon, through my private offerings, through group circles, through creating a space where other people can come and facilitate, and working on my next book. So now that I've shared a little bit about my journey, let's jump back into the shadow element. So I'm going to read the first opening chapter of the first opening paragraphs of this chapter in my book, and share with you the Rage Rose. And the title in the book is The Pearl in Fire. And my shadow is rage. From the tender age of 6 through my mid-20s, my memories are mostly under a hazy, all-consuming redness that also created disconnect and loss of memory. I did not know how to recognize, let alone avoid, being swept under the clear fog of rage until after entering my 30s. Devotion to love and living the sacred way is the core through which I transform pain into gold, and remain the pillars between which I dance this messy, sacred life. So from the age of 6, I had rage, like activated, full-blown fucking rage within me. And for almost 30 years, I let that rage just sit within me. Even through many journeys with plant allies and meditation and sadhanas and all these things, I was so good at suppressing the rage that nobody really knew, unless people were really close to me and they pushed the buttons, which were far and few in between. It was just locked in there. So think about that for a moment, right? Think about where you might be feeling locked in a certain expression of yourself. What it could be rage, or it could be something really beautiful, right? It doesn't have to be extremely dark and difficult, but it usually starts there because it is a source of power. And so I'm now going to invite you, my dear audience, to feel into experience where you felt rage or any other challenging emotion, right? And I'm going to take us through a really quick guided meditation to pull rage or whatever that emotion is away from that experience and process it and make it your emotional best buddy. And then the invitation for integration is to sit and hang out with your EBB, your emotional best buddy, every day for about 5 minutes and have a conversation with it, right? So let's drop into breath here for a moment. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Good. One more. Inhale through the nose. And exhale. Invite you to continue to stay within this bridge of breath, inhaling soft and sweetly, exhaling soft and deeply. Uncross your feet, plant your feet directly on the ground. And on this next inhale, visualize rosebuds coming out from the base of your feet, going down into the earth. And on this next exhale, roots come out and they go down into the earth. Inhale, rosebuds open. Exhale, roots go down into the earth. Beautiful. And we're just anchoring you into the present moment. Deep breath, dropping deeper into the present moment, into the here now. And as you exhale, the roots deepen and branch out, holding hands with the roots of all the trees around you, reaching out far and wide to connect with my roots. We're all holding hands down there. And yet we are sovereign and present in our own personal power here in the now. Good. Continue breathing in and out. Find yourself in that place of stillness and peace within your heart space. And on this next inhale, bring to mind an experience where you felt an intense, uncomfortable emotion, such as rage. Bring that to your mind and just let it play out in front of you like a movie. We're not reliving the experience, we are witnessing. You are fully here in the present moment, in the here now, rooted into the earth, sovereign and free of that experience. We are simply witnessing. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now we watch the scene play out. And in a few moments, we're going to arrive at that point in your story where that intense emotion comes up. And we're going to watch. Good. 2 more breaths, and then we'll be there. We're in that point of the experience, and we freeze frame in 3, 2, 1, now. Freeze frame that experience and notice the emotion building. Notice the rage building. Or if you don't know what emotion it is, that's okay too, right? That's okay. It's okay if you don't know what that emotion is. Just let that emotion build and let it start coming out of the experience like a big black cloud, okay? Good. And then the movie and the experience is kind of playing in slow motion in the background, super slow motion. But what is in real time is this emotion that is building, growing in front of you, this big cloud. Breathe deep. Place a hand on your heart and one in your belly if that helps you center. Remember, you are here in the present moment, fully here in the now. Nothing of the past can affect you. It is already done. It is simply a movie screen playing out, and the emotion is now fully in front of you as a big black cloud. And now just witness it and let it roar. Let it express itself and just watch it. Like, wow, okay, I'm just going to watch this emotion. I'm just going to watch this energy get big and loud and crazy. And now it's spitting at me. And now it's saying things. And oh my God, it is throwing a tantrum. Let it throw a tantrum. Just watch it. Just watch it. Breathe in and exhale. Beautiful. Breathe in and out. Good. And as this emotion expels all of its energy, it begins to shrink. Begins to shrink and become smaller and smaller. You feel the intensity lessening. And now the emotion shifts and becomes a small animal. A cute little baby animal now stands before you. And you just gently put out your hand and invite this animal to come to you. Introduce yourself and ask this animal for its name. This is your emotion represented as something a little more familiar. They may share their name and they may not. They might be a little shy. Be patient and breathe. Beautiful. Good. Good. And you're going to welcome this animal into your heart. Thank you. Thank you and welcome into my heart. And you're going to guide them into your heart space, into a room that is just for them. They get to have their own room in your heart space with all the cozies and all the cushies and all the planties and lighting and comfies that they need and want. The room is already ready for them. Welcome them into your heart space. Beautiful. We'll come back to them in a moment. And as you enter the room, all your other emotional allies are standing at the door, curious about the newcomer. And you're going to tell them, hey, we're going to give our newcomer a little moment, okay, before we get all excited about it. So we're going to come have a tea party later. And all the other emotional allies, they go away and go do their own thing while you stay present with your new friend. And help your friend get settled into their new room. Beautiful. Good. Big deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. And now give your new friend a nice gentle hug and tell them, I promise I will return soon. And they make you pinky promise. And then you tuck them into bed because they've just had a really intense journey. They just expressed all their big feelings and they're feeling very tired and they need a little nappy. You tuck them into bed and then you gently close the door and exit the house of your heart. And when you exit the house of your heart, you find yourself at the beginning of your experience again. And now we're going to play the experience and witness and notice the difference now that you have extracted that intense emotion. And notice the difference. Perhaps there is another emotion. We'll come back and repeat this exercise later for that. Just witness what has shifted in the experience and within you. 2 more breaths. Good. And now this experience, the movie comes to a close and you slowly find yourself returning to the present moment. Feel the shift within you. Feel the presence of this new emotional ally in your heart space. And what is really important now is the integration piece. You are going to have to make sure to come and visit your new emotional friend every day for the next 7 days at minimum. And just 5 minutes, go inside the house of your heart to connect with your new emotional ally and talk to them. Ask them questions. Who are you? Why are you here? What are you here to teach me? How do I pay attention to you? How do I know when you are present? And just continue to build a friendship with them over the next 7 days. Journal and take notes. And this is the process of how your emotional ally will become your emotional best buddy. And then you can repeat this little guided meditation to pull the emotion from any experiences in your life that you are having a hard time with, even experiences that you don't remember, because you remember the point that you started feeling. And you can assign different characters if that is easier to go back to an experience and bring it out with clarity and peace. And you repeat this experience this meditation for the same experience until you witness your experience from a seat of neutrality and empowerment and that statement of, this is something that happened and it does not affect me anymore. Gently returning to the present moment. Big deep breath, inhale. And exhale. 2 more times, inhale. And exhale. Last one, coming back fully into the body, into the present moment. Exhale, wiggle your fingers and toes. And welcome back. So this practice is one of many tools that you can use to work with those difficult aspects within you that you're having a hard time reconciling with. I would love to know, before I continue with my presentation, how this journey was for you. Lady Anika, would you be willing to come on stage and share with us your experience? And for those of you catching the replay, please comment down below and tell me what came up for you from this practice.
What a beautiful, beautiful practice and beautiful share. Just to really sit in the presence of all that is encompassing the heart space and what can be tucked away into the darkness. It was nice to be present with that and allow it the space and permission to come up to be processed, to come up to be in presence. It's nice to feel that acceptance of all that's encompassing this beautiful human form. So thank you very much for that beautiful, beautiful meditation, Lady Darsmin.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And sometimes that's what we do. We just sit, right? Sometimes we don't extract anything. Sometimes we just sit and witness, and we realize that the experience is perfect. And only the perception of the mind was creating a monster that wasn't there. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
So now I will share with you my particular experience, okay, of my rage story. So I had known for nearly a decade from that Western medical diagnosis that there was a high probability my hands would cease to function by the time I hit my 30s. Yet before that life-changing doctor's visit completed, I chose instead, and this is here, right? We choose. Every breath is a choice. I chose instead to divert my attention into disciplined daily self-care. And with it, unbeknownst to me then, my initiation into Shadow Alchemy. Because I decided to go deep within instead of looking for external fixes. So take a moment to sit with that. When was that turning point where you said, I'm going to do my inner soul work? That was your initiation into Shadow Alchemy, my dear ones. You've already been doing the work and you might not even realize it. So first, nutrition and physical fitness focused alongside ongoing therapy to overcome the extensive traumas from childhood, and then weaving in meditation and fasting, and over time, plant medicine allies. And for a period of time, all seemed well. In fact, like about almost 7 years. I could feel a trickling of weakening in the measure of strength I had in adolescence through adulthood, and I just brushed it off as natural aging until the smoke of the Pacific Northwest fires of 2020 rolled in, and with it, the tidal wave of rage and 3 weeks of zero use of my hands. Zero use. So I'll spare you the details of what came next, but I do go into it in the book. So if you want to find out, adopt a copy if you want the tea. But in brief, using that previous meditation and integration practice I shared, along with some other tools I shared today in the summit and through the past few days in the summit, and in several of my self-paced study guides and their PDF and video study guides, I learned to alchemize the rage. Yet, even after the waves of sad, okay, and as I alchemized rage, what did I discover? Rage is ultimately a mask for sadness, okay? Rage is grief that is unfelt and often denied, right? We don't have rites of passage in today's world. And so we have this grief around transitions and changes in our life that happen, that haven't been processed. One day you're a child, then the next thing you're in high school and people are asking, what do you want to be when you're grown up? And you're like, but I'm not even grown up, right? One day you're single and then you're in a relationship. One day you're in a relationship and then you're a mother or a father, or you're married. Or one day you have a child and the next day you don't have a child. One day you have a dad and the next day you don't have a dad, or a mom or a sibling, right? There's a lot of transitions that happen in life that we don't acknowledge. Grief is doesn't necessarily just come up from the passing and death of a physical person. It also comes up when we go through life changes and transitions. Okay, so grief is often a mask for sadness. It's for that place of absence, a deep longing for what doesn't exist. Rage is an emotion that arises to evict what is not meant to be there. Right? We don't want to just be sitting in that sadness. We don't want to have that unprocessed grief. We don't want to feel like we're not speaking our truth and living our best life. So rage is also compassion. Rage helps us figuring out what our boundaries are, what our needs are, what our desires are. And we don't think about rage as compassion. I sure as heck did not look at rage as compassion. I saw rage as this torch that was setting my whole life on fire. But what it was actually doing was setting on fire all the things in my life that didn't actually support me and nourish me. Friendships that were just sucking my soul and draining me. Relationships where the men would literally use me for money and my body. And because of my trauma and conditioning and distorted stuff that was in here, I just allowed it, but I didn't speak about it because I was in the good girl place of my life, right? So rage helps us get rid of what is not meant to be there. But we can't just, go around and spitball at people, because that's not healthy either. We have to learn how to express our rage in a healthy way. So as I discipline in my personal practices, deepening the balance between physical self-care and spiritual devotion growth, rage showed me how to harness its energy into constructive and creative forms. At the beginning of today's summit, we were talking about creativity and why that is so important. Rage has shown me that without creativity, our soul begins to wither away. And when we feel like our light is diminishing, that's when we start feeling ragey and cranky. It's like our juice, our soul juice is being depleted because it's going into experiences and relationships and people and situations that don't actually serve us. Right? So rage also is motivation. It inspires us to be better for ourselves. When somebody asks me, like, who do you compete with? I'm like, I compete with the past version of myself. You, my darling, are inspiration and motivation. The only competition in my life is the past version of me. And that's the invitation that I invite you to quantum shift into today. Stop looking at everyone and everything around you as your competitor, as your enemy. That's a fallacy of the mind. Your true competition is that past version of you that didn't believe you could be where you are today. And look who you proved wrong, yourself. So the energy of rage, now that I felt it and I looked at it and I turned it into this beautiful animal, okay? And it transformed. I don't even know the original shape of the animal of rage because it kept transforming over the years. Like a different animal would show up and it was a shapeshifter for a long time. But eventually, once I was able to just make it my friend and it stopped shape-shifting and it revealed itself to be this really fluffy bunny, okay? The cutest, fluffiest little bunny I ever done see, I tell you what. Then it showed me how to harness the energy, how to notice the red flags, right? The orange flags, like ding, 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 approaching danger. We got to step back. We got to do some self-care. We got to take a nap, whatever it is we got to do. We got to step back or shit's about to go real bad. And so I was able to notice myself. That's where that practice, that's where that mastery, that's where that consistency, that discipline comes in. And I was able to found Darsmin DreamWorks, which is my legacy. I've been able to straighten my spine and remove a lot of scar tissue from the extensive beatings that I experienced as a child. I've been slowly regenerating my hands. Yes, they're still in a deep process, and they're going to be for a bit longer, but I can feel them healing even if the physical appearance says otherwise and the actions say otherwise. I feel that they're healing. I choose to believe that they're regenerating. I have also used this energy of rage to cleanse multi-generational trauma, to purify multidimensional karma, to create and publish my first deck of cards, which is now sold out. Okay, to channel and publish, self-publish, home printed, handbound, my first book while I was in this deep unfolding of rage. Like when I was in the thick, in the infernos of rage is when I wrote my first book and published it. Because I had to do something with all that energy. And then this here in the second book, right? So what is rage for you today, right? Like think about it. We all have it. And how do we quantum shift that energy? Okay, all right. In the moment when you feel the emotion, right? Like maybe we don't have time to sit and meditate when that emotion comes like, okay, I'm feeling ragey, and no, Lady Darsmin, I do not got time to meditate right now or to go and check on my emotional life. So what is a 3-step process to quantum shift right now? ABC. And that's part of my deck of cards. A, acknowledge, hand on heart. I woke up today. B, big deep breaths, connect, hand on heart. I woke up today and all I am is valid. Okay, I'm feeling upset. That's okay for me to feel upset. I'm feeling frustrated. Okay, it's okay to feel frustrated. I'm feeling happy and angry at the same time. Okay, that's okay. I'm allowed to feel it all. Okay, I am allowed to feel it all. Holding that space. For whatever arises, I woke up today, I am in my body, it is safe to be me, all I am is valid. Affirm that for yourself. Quantum shift immediately, okay? Instead of reacting, stop and breathe. I always say 1 breath is the difference between the dumb and the wise choice. And it's up to you. Are you going to react or are you going to choose to respond with a pause? To acknowledge that you woke up today, you are in this body. This is your experience. You are having the experience, not what somebody else is telling you. They might be having a different experience based on their body, their perception, their objections, their way of upbringing. You might be experiencing the same thing, but you're having different sensations. All of you is valid. All I am is valid. And there's a whole set of keys. There's an A through Z list in the CPR deck, right? Now, there is one more key I share in the book, and it is the core foundation for shadow mastery. But to find out, you're just going to have to get a copy of the book. I can't give you all my secrets out. But because of your attendance here in the summit, I am giving you a 22% off discount for a signed copy of this book. And the coupon code is I am sovereign. And you can use it until December 30th at 1 p.m., which is also the cutoff time for the VIP package upgrade. That's all together. Now, as I've been working through this energy of rage, so much creativity has unlocked for me. And one of my favorite ways to create is to write poetry. You know, I've already published a book of poetry. My second book is a 3-part book, and one part of it is poetry. And at the beginning of the week, we had our beautiful speaker, Harlow, here, who is coming out of the closet as a poet right now. And so I thought I would close my share of my journey from the darkness into the light and how I have quantum shifted by sharing with you the poem that I wrote when I was in between worlds. Fire swells in the silent heart of every beaten child who sees the eternal spaces between every breath, and patterns illuminating paths of silken shadows reveal a bleeding night weaving whole torn years. A cool breeze caresses the angry, scared shadow, soothing a fire, feeding the joy that never leaves, flowing softly back into the silence after a storm, drinking darkness to ignite the potential of faith. Oh. So what do I offer now? How do you connect with me? How do you work with me? I am primarily a writer, a poet. I work primarily with Mother Earth as a grid worker, as a dream weaver, as a dream weaver. But I also am now back to offering sessions, limited availability sessions here at the Soul Salon. And so you can have little mini power sessions with me. They're about 30 minutes long. You can have one-on-one immersions with me, where we have deep dive 2 to 3 hour sessions. And we cover a range from just getting into alignment with your sovereign purpose, to decluttering the trauma, to integrating the shadow, to reclaiming past lives, to calling back your soul power and weaving it back into your blueprint, to mentorship. The mentorships that I offer are very specific for empowered leadership, embodied leadership, and priestess pathways. And those are only 2 seats at a time, and I only open that twice a year. And a more general way to connect with me is, if you're in person, is through the group circles that I host here at the Soul Salon. And I do have a membership to the Soul Salon. I have 2 levels of membership. The level 1 is you get access to my Substack blog, where I share weekly tea and cosmic news. I share weekly tarot scope, and I share 3 poems, spoken word poems every week. And Friday is Q&A. Ask me any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll be talking about Soul Salon news. And if you upgrade to the VIP package, you get 3 months access to that. You also get 10% off to all Soul Salon events and offerings. And there are other goodies that I give away occasionally as well. So these are the 2 ways to connect with me right now. Through Facebook, that is my most active platform. And this is my website, which takes you into the whole portal of me. I've just given you a glimpse. Some testimonials of people who have worked with me. First, I want to highlight our beautiful speaker, Harlow, who was here on day 1, who shared about my work with her over the last 4 years, and how she has evolved and how she has integrated my teachings into her own life to now coalesce and see her in this rebirth as the poet that she is, that she's always been, that she is now reclaiming for herself. And so I invite you to check out that replay if you haven't yet. And then this other beautiful testimonial I wanted to share, because it specifically talks about the shadow. And this is another sacred sovereign who now lives in Florida. And this is what he writes. Darsmin entered my life during a time when I was in my shadow, when I was in fear, paralyzed to go forward. I was caught up in past life challenges that had been brought into my current lifetime. Through her divinely guided methods of teaching, she was able to help me create positive and negative avatars based on the many different emotions we encounter every day. That was that meditation practice I shared with y'all. This enabled me to have healthy conversations with each emotion in order to talk through any sabotaging emotions while being supported by positive emotions. Many blessings to you. Namaste. And he is on Facebook, Third Eye Oracle, if you want to connect with him. I have lots of other testimonials and reviews on my website, but ultimately, I would like to say that and believe and encourage everyone to look at how a guide or a teacher you're looking to sit with lives their everyday life. Because if you are not walking the talk, then you're not in embodiment. And that's part of mastery. That's how we truly become the masters of our own sovereign lives, is when we walk the talk. And so if you want more testimonials, let me know, and I'm happy to share with you. The last thing I want to share in my presentation is, how do we sustain? How do we cultivate sustainable thriving? Okay. And there's 3 or 4 C's, because I see me and I see all. And it's a circuit that feeds into each other. And consistency, which is your practice, is what keeps the flow going, right? If you're not being consistent with your practice, you're going to have breaks and fractures, and then you're not going to be in sustaining or thriving. You're going to be in chaos and delulu. So one of the core practices is compassion, right? Having compassion and that grace for yourself. It's that self-awareness. I put pater and mater here. Why? Because the pater, the word father comes from the Greek word pater, and the word mother comes from the Greek word pater. The pater provides the pattern. The mater provides what fills the pattern, Okay, so we have to become aware of the patterns that we have inherited. Lady Anika and a couple other speakers have talked about epigenetics and how we inherit the traumas, the blessings, the gifts of our ancestors. So we have to look at the patterns that are encoded within our DNA, and also the patterns that are put upon us when we come into the human timeline. And we have to discern which of these Pater Mater patterns are we really wanting to continue sustaining, and just have compassion for all that is, because everything that they have chosen and experienced has brought you to this present moment. And now you get to choose whether you continue that or not, right? The other core of sustainable thriving is being centered, and we're centered through our breath. The number one practice that I always invite all my clients and students into before anything else is learning how to breathe. If you are not breathing right, it doesn't matter what other beautiful teachings and practices are being shared with you, because you're not breathing. There's no oxygen flowing. There's no oxygen going to your brain, so there's no flow of energy. So we got to practice. This is why it's at the top. Okay, it's at the top because we got to stay centered within ourselves with our breath. And that allows us to be also curious, right? When we're centered with our breath, we're approaching life with compassion and kindness. We're also approaching with curiosity. Curiosity and compassion, they're like two sides of one coin, where because of curiosity, we have compassion. And because we're compassionate, we are able to open into curiosity. And curiosity is just being intentional about how we connect with life. Instead of having a reaction, choose to have a response. Reaction is just like a knee jerk, right? And if someone has experienced extensive trauma, I get that, right? We can have a reaction, but that's when you come into that compassion, that awareness of self, and you just continue practicing that. And you know, this little human here you might recognize is also part of our treasure map, right? He is delicately balanced on his practice, because it is a delicate balance. This is graceful balancing of intentional connection and awareness and breath and practice, and just like all the different things that's showing up. And I love these little eyeballs, because, you know, we got to see within, and as within, so without. So in summation, okay, the path and process of and from acknowledging to accepting a shadow can be a lifetime adventure. Yet it does get easier over time with gentle tending, daily practice, devotion to your highest self. The illusionary walls within soften to reveal a heart of divinity and pearls of gold. And your pearls of gold may be just your life as an example of your own growth and resurrection. Your pearls of gold could be your creative projects. Your pearls of gold could be your ways of service to the community. They could be your children, right? But whatever your pearls of gold are, they're just pure. You're no longer continuing to pass down trauma. You're no longer continuing to pass down cycles and patterns that are not in service anymore. Those traditions and obligations may have gotten your parents and your ancestors to the point where they are today and where you are today. But are they sustainable for your continued evolution, my beloved? So in recap, how can you work with those intense emotions, such as rage, to motivate you and inspire you into allowing yourself to be more human, allowing yourself to be more integrated with all aspects of you, because you are whole. And what makes you feel incomplete is your own denial of certain pieces of you that other people may have rejected. And so now you are rejecting yourself. The final piece of wisdom I have to share with y'all is enjoy the journey. Life is happening in the present moment. The future is a construct of the mind. The past is a memory. This here now is all there really is. This now goes into the next now, into the next now, into the eternal now. So just be here in the now. You do your ABCs, right? Do those ABCs of just like, I woke up today. I'm in my body. It is safe to be me, you know, and continue to show up with that gentleness for yourself for your heart. Yesterday, we talked about this at the end of day 4. Like, my invitation is to always hold your heart gently, even when you're just like frothing and spitting and screaming in the shower. Get your emotions out in a healthy and safe way. As Lady Anika was saying at the beginning, you know, find yourself a guide who has done the work, who can hold you through your whirlwind, if that is the support that you need. And ultimately, remember to tap into that curiosity, because that is going to help you see the beauty even in the darkest moments. Thank you so much for showing up to my talk today and for listening to what I have to say and letting me read excerpts from my book.
I love that. Being your best self in the present moment. How beautiful is that? Thank you, beautiful Lady Darsmin. How beautiful. I think it's so interesting how the different gurus and healers and coaches have a very different view on rage. Like it's that just shows that there is somebody for everybody, and everybody has a calling, everybody has a people, everybody has a collective, everybody has a gift to share with their specific medicine, with their specific people. It's a frequency that comes into a match, right? My view on rage is there is power in that, and once you learn how to work through that, I'm forceful. I'm half masculine and half feminine. When it comes to rage, I like to move. I like to bring it into motion, and I like to like be present with its velocity, and then eventually learn how to use it for creation or manifestation or whatever. But it's so beautiful how you shared the gentleness and the presence with it and friending it. So thank you for that. Very, very beautiful.
Thank you. And I'm gonna just put a little caveat here and say to everyone and you that I have had many days of screaming till my voice was hoarse. I've literally gone outside like a bug with my legs in the air. Freaking construction people are next door working on the roof, and they're like, is she possessed? So it's like, yeah, I talk about this from a place of gentleness because I have made peace with my rage. But if you'd met me even a year ago, oh, hell no. Like, this book just came out this year, right? And I feel like writing my chapter in this book is what finally brought me full circle to this peaceful acceptance of my rage. But I still have days where, even I think it was like 2 days ago, I think I even told you, Lady Anika, I'm like, I gotta shut the computer off. I gotta turn the phone off. Like, I'm feeling at that verge. Like, I'm about to blow off on someone. And so I literally stepped back, did some self-care, went to bed early, and then I woke up and I was nice and fresh and pink again, right? So it's like, just because somebody presents themselves as someone who's calm and zen and serene, don't let that fool you into thinking that they're just a bodhisattva. Recognize that they also go through stuff, but they are choosing to embody a certain frequency because that is what their higher purpose in calling it is. So one of my practices that when I first started working with rage was I would write all the crappy things that would come up, and I would put it on pieces of paper, and then I would put these pieces of paper and tear it up and put it in ice cubes and put water in it and freeze it. Get a hammer and smash the shit out of it, right? Oh, that was so cathartic to just like, get a hammer and beat on this fucking rage that's just coming out of me. But then that practice evolved, and I didn't need to do that anymore. Another practice that I've shared often when it comes to like working with those mental beliefs, and I was going to bring it up the other day, is my poison diary practice, which I don't need anymore. You have 2 diaries. On one, you just dump. You don't filter, you don't edit, you don't reread, you don't go back, you don't ruminate, you just pour that poison in there. It is literally called the poison dump, toxic waste. Do not return. And then you have the empowerment journal, where you take one of those poisonous thoughts and you rewrite it. And you repeat that 3 times, or you rewrite 3 sentences, and you do that practice every single day. And I did that for 6.5 years, y'all, before I didn't need to do that anymore, right? So find the ways that can help you alchemize and process those difficult emotions, those crippling thoughts, those limiting self-beliefs, so that you can come to that place of peaceful acceptance. It's like, yeah, that happened to me.
So I just want to ask, and thank you, beautiful Lyra, for being here, and Taylor, welcome, welcome, welcome. I just wanted to ask, because it's so important in a rage ceremony, in a rage journal, and a rage, the encompassing of rage. I don't want to leave the viewers in a space of what the hell do I do with this energy. So I want to ask you, Lady Darsmin, since this was your beautiful share, what do they do with that energy if it's overpowering, or if it's too much, or if that emotion is like, fuck you? What do they do with that? We can't just leave them sit in that. What would you say?
You have to find a way to channel that energy, right? Because like even after you process the emotion behind rage, there is still energy there. And I dive more about that in my chapter, right? Like even after I spent years working through the emotion of rage and trying to figure out like the fucking source, which took me almost a decade to figure out, even though I already knew what the source was, right? There was still all this energy, right? Like I felt the feelings, but there was still energy. And that's where you get into curiosity. That's where you start experimenting. Take a pottery class, take a kickboxing class, go get into Kung Fu, get into jujitsu, go for a run, go for a hike, push yourself to do something that challenges you. That is the key word, that expands you, that takes you away from that particular processing and emotion. Find and discover and experiment until you find a creative outlet that helps you. Something that helps me when I'm starting to feel that is cleaning my house. Clean your damn house. Do your dishes. Fold your laundry, right? Get back to your self-care, right? If your house is a mess, then your brain's not going to be able to think or process or create. So if all else fails, clean your damn house, take a bath, and then take a nap. Try that. And then your energy is going to go away because you just spent all that time scrubbing your toilet.
I would like to share a bit from my own coursework that I walk beautiful souls through as well. Rage to me is a beautiful energy that we can cultivate. And in the moment is the best time to really feel that and process that. And yes, it's good to clean and to find a hobby, but in the moment, there can be so much energy. And like I work with my teens a lot, and I work with teenagers who step into self-mutilation. And sometimes when we're not processing the rage in the moment, it leads into very difficult challenges. It can clog the body. It can lead to disease. It can lead to anxiety, ADHD. It can lead to panic attacks. So in our practice, we walk them through the energy of that rage. Where is it in your body, and what does it feel like? And what is it asking you to do? Is it movement? Is it chopping wood? Is it screaming in a pillow? Is it kicking your feet and stomping? Is it rage music? Like this seriously moves the energy. And in that moment, it's not controlling you. You're befriending it. It's becoming your friend. And like Lady Darsmin was sharing, like it becomes your sisterin. You become one. And when you're able to process that energy in the moment, sometimes at first it looks funny, like Lady Darsmin was saying, laying in the yard screaming. In the beginning, it feels funny and it looks funny. It's important to give yourself that time and that space to process that. But it gets easier and it gets better. And soon you will be able to use that energy for manifestation and creation. Mm-hmm. Putting that into healing the earth, putting that into your star power, putting that into your force of creation. That's what a quantum shift is all about. Our energy is fucking magnificent. Mm-hmm. And when we cultivate that rage or that power or that dance or that prayer or that movement, we can forcefully put that out into quantum shifting, into creation, into whatever we want. I want a new car. I want a new house, like whatever that is. It's better. It's a better energy than even an orgasm or even a union orgasm, because it's yours and you can create that with the divine. Mm-hmm. So to help close this out with Lady Darsmin and this beautiful share that she shared with us is to really sit with that rage. And what is it trying to show you is great, but what can you do with it? Mm-hmm. Don't just sit with it. Don't just throw it away. Don't just bury it, because that causes more damage to the nervous system, to the body, to the brain. What is it asking of you? And how can you come into coherence together? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's only 20 minutes. Sometimes it's 45 minutes of deep rage music. You're going to feel amazing afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's like detoxifying your system right now. Mm-hmm. And for those of us, like, we've had deep rage, right? Mine was sexual abuse from a very young age, and over again. It was so icky. It was toxic, and it was like an icky, it was, you didn't want to really touch it, but you didn't know what to do with it. The more you allow yourself to experience that, the more you can tap into that energy, which is shadow alchemy, and use it and alchemize it and shift it into your own force of creation.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there because it can get deep and we can go in and we can, you know, but
It's
we will keep
really,
it in the shift area.
Yeah, it's very important to just really take time ASAP, because it will build. And then before you know it, well, we're not going to go into that, right? Because we're choosing to be in this empowered timeline of feeling what arises and then channeling that energy into something else, because that's what rage is. It's just a buildup of energy of it that hasn't been processed. And it could cover a range of emotions. So focus on expressing that energy out of you in a safe way. That doesn't harm other people or you further.
I'm like, get wild with it.
Yeah. I did for a long time. What I did for a long time was punch mirrors and holes in the walls. That was not safe or healthy. So let's not do that. Get a punching bag and wrap your hands, people.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I think we're almost to time. Does anybody have any questions for Lady Darsmin and her beautiful share? Or have any adds to the quantum shift and really utilizing the energy of rage? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Do you have anything else to add, beautiful Lady Darsmin?
Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Recognize something that I didn't realize until deep working with the rage is a lot of that energy is ancestral. It's a lot of that energy is lifetimes of emotion that hasn't been processed and felt. And because like we have arrived at a point where we have created enough safety within our body, that emotion is now asking to be seen and expressed. Can you see it as a gift rather than an inconvenience?
I love how you said express, because I was just thinking, how do we describe grace? Like, grace is such a cliche word. Expression. Allow yourself to express it in your weirdness, in your rebelness, in your wildness, in your self-expression, in dance and poetry and movement, whatever that is. Allow yourself the vulnerability of your raw, beautiful creation in the now moment. And what is it asking of you? What is that weird part of yourself asking for? And how can you express that? It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Lady Darsmin. It's very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for catching me on the live and on the replay. All the links to connect with me, the coupon code for my book, and other yummy offerings will be posted in the group page. So find out. And if you're having issues, just reach out to me directly. I am here for you. My special of sliding scale sessions ends at the end of February. So now is the time to lock in your sessions with me at the lowest price I will never again offer.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And we have beautiful Taylor Elwood next. I'm super excited to hear from him, but pretty sure we are taking a break first, and we're going to go do some movement and move out our own energy and get a little snack. And
yes, we're going to take a quick 8-minute break, and then we're going to come back and open with some breath. We're going to do a little bit of movement flow, do some more circular movements to awaken our creative body. And then we're going to bring the magical and mystical Bard and Mage, divine masculine embodiment coach, Sir Taylor Elwood, extraordinaire, onto the stage to share with us his wisdoms on time and space magic. We're going to be shifting now from the deep inner world to a different kind of deep, higher inner world. He smiles over there. He's like, we're going real quantum today in the different like dualities of the spectrum of our duality, right? All right. See you all in 10, sovereigns.